Hi everyone, welcome to ConductVision Talks. Women in leadership is a much discussed topic. Whilst the struggle for equality is well known in business and in other industries, less is known about women leaders in music. Our common perception at a concert is that of a male conductor. What about female conductors? Curious to find out more, I reached out to Israeli conductor Talia Ilan, a leading female conductor of today. Having studied with famous conductors Daniel Barenboim and Michael Tilson Thomas, Talia has conducted leading orchestras in Israel, Europe, China, and the US. Apart from her conducting career, Talia is involved in various educational initiatives, building a community and culture of music around the orchestra. What are the challenges facing a female conductor today? Why don't we see more of them in a centuries-long male-dominated profession? Looking for answers, I reached out to Talia in Tel Aviv. Talia, what inspired you to become a conductor?
Well, since I was very small, actually when I was a baby, my mother used to put music, classical music that she loved, and this was the background of all my childhood. She brought from Buenos Aires her LPs, and she of Tchaikovsky, Rimsky-Korsakov, Dvorak, the music she loved, mostly symphonic music, and this is what I used to hear at home. For me, this was the only music existing. And when I was 5, I had my own gramophone in my room. And I remember, this is a memory I still remember. I used to pick the LP I wanted, like Nutcracker of Tchaikovsky, and I put it myself. And then I started dancing to this music. It made me feel that I need to make movements to this music. So I was very much attached to the music, the symphonic music, the music of Tchaikovsky and all the great composers. Later, when I was 10, I asked finally my parents that I want to play music. I wanted to play the piano, even though we didn't have a piano at home. And luckily, they were very supportive and they bought a piano and I started playing the piano. And also my younger sister followed me just 1 week after, and I played the piano. I didn't practice much, but I really loved making music. And then when I was 14, I attended the Talia Ilan High School, which is until now the best high school for music in Israel. And there we studied not only playing, because we also studied the background of music, music history, repertoire, solfege, harmony, everything. And when we studied about the repertoire and music history, I realized that the music I really love the most is the symphonic music. I still, of course, I loved playing the piano and I loved the piano repertoire. But for me, it reminded me that what I really love in music is the symphonic music. And by the way, I also attended many concerts of orchestras in my childhood of the Israel Philharmonic and the Israel Chamber Orchestra, special concerts that were family concerts for kids. Um, and then I realized this is the music I really love. And the piece that really made me feel that I need to become a conductor was the Bela Bartok Concerto for Orchestra. It was an amazing piece that I discovered only when I was 14. And actually, it was also played in the same year in the Israel Philharmonic. And when I was a kid, I always looked like 3 or 4 years younger than my age. And I remember after I attended one concert of Bartok Concerto for Orchestra, I decided, no, I want to come to the next day also, because they had in a row every day. And my mother didn't want to come with me again. So I went by myself, and I was so small, I tried to reach the counter to buy the ticket. And the woman there said, "You are coming alone? You're a small kid." I said, "No, I'm 14." And then she even reserved me a free ticket because she didn't think I should pay for this because I was so small. And I came every night to hear the Bartok Concerto for Orchestra. And after that, I decided if I want to become a conductor, I thought to myself, nobody really helped me. I thought I need to be part of the orchestra in order to understand the inner side of this profession. Before I go to the podium, I thought it's really necessary to feel what it is to be like an orchestra player. So I picked up the clarinet, and it took me around 1.5 years to already join an orchestra. Of course, I continued to study many years the clarinet, and today sometimes I perform in chamber music or in orchestras. And so I joined orchestras, several orchestras, symphonic or amateur orchestras, and I felt what it is, what the player really needs from the conductor. What is a good conductor? How does he lead the orchestra? Are his gesture like? And what is the process of the rehearsals, from the first rehearsal to the last rehearsal and to the concert? What is the difference between conducting a rehearsal and conducting a concert? Because there is a difference, and there is a big difference. So I couldn't know it if I wouldn't sit in the seat of a player and play and use this information coming from the conductor, because it's an information. And after that, after I finished high school, I had to join the army. It's a mandatory in Israel, and for women it's 2 years. And I had the option to play the clarinet in the army orchestra, but I thought anyway, all my life I will be a musician. This is what I thought, at least. And so I don't want to waste my time in the army to play music. And military music was not so much interesting for me. So I chose to have a profession which is in leadership, doing with leadership. And I took this profession, and it really gave me a lot of experience to stand in front of soldiers and telling them what to do, or showing them how to hold a weapon, how to shoot. Those things, it sounds maybe a minor thing, but for me, it was my first experience standing in front of a group of people and professionally telling them what to do. Later, of course, it helped me to stand in front of an orchestra. I had already the experience of doing this. It's not the same. And after the army, I attended the music academy, which then finally I became a conducting student. And on the same time, I also attended a lot of rehearsals of great conductors that I followed. One of them was Michael Tilson Thomas, that I attended maybe hundreds of his rehearsals for all those years in London with the London Symphony, and also in San Francisco and in Miami.
Attending rehearsals, I remember we were talking about that the other day. They probably, were they your best learning experience in becoming a conductor?
Well, I don't know if I can say it's the best, but it was so crucial for me to sit there and watch for so many years different kinds of conductors, different kinds of orchestras, different kind of repertoire. First of all, I also learned repertoire because when you sit in so many rehearsals, many times you hear pieces that you don't hear usually in the radio. Sometimes new pieces, and also different interpretations, and you also see how it's being done. It's very interesting. So I feel it's a crucial part of my learning was sitting in rehearsals with the scores, of course, and watching them from the beginning, from the scratch, from the first rehearsal until the last rehearsal, and then the concert, and to see the difference between the last rehearsal, which you might think should be like the concert, but no, in the concert, when you have the audience and you have all this excitement, it's still different. And also the behavior and the playing of the players is different, and the conductor is different in the concert rather than in the rehearsal. Rehearsal cannot have this uplifting like in a concert.
That's what I actually wanted to ask. In what way are rehearsals different from performance? And the second question I would have regarding rehearsals is, could you identify a good and the difference between a good and a bad conductor?
Okay, so let me answer first the second question. I didn't identify conductors according to good or bad, because in each conductor that I was watching, I could find very good things that I would like to pick up for myself, suggestions, ways of working with an orchestra. Each of them had different way. I don't remember there is even one way that I saw it repetitive with from one conductor to the other. Every personality has its own way, but there are some things which are similar between conductors. And so, but I also saw some bad things that I said to myself, okay, this I will not do. For example, if a conductor would talk too much to the players and would tell them many things, this bar and this bar, da, 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 and this bar, like a lecture of 15 or 20 minutes. And then when they have to start playing, they already forgot. And how do I know? Not only from what I believe, but also I talked later to those players. And this is what they told me. Those conductors who talk a lot, sometimes we just forget. If you want to show us something, show it with your hands. You don't have to talk a lot. And actually, my greatest teacher, Mendy Rodan, this was his perspective that he taught us that we have to show everything in our hands during the rehearsal and talk less only when we really feel that we cannot show what we want, then we have to talk. So the thing is between bad or good conductors is like the bad or good things in each conductor that we can learn from, which is very important for me to know what would be good for me. And still I have to try those things before I decide it's if it's good indeed. And of course, in my rehearsals, I was always searching, I'm still searching what is the best way. Sometimes the piece decides the way, not me. And of course, in each piece, before we start rehearsing it, when we learn it, we see already what needs to be worked on. What are the main problems of the piece that we already foresee that might be problematic for the players, and not just to play everything from the beginning to the end. No, we have to pinpoint the places, the right places where we know already that will be more problematic and more difficult for the players, to work on them and then do the whole piece from the beginning to the end. And we have to see things before they happen, and we have to plan things. But we also have to be open-minded and to know that there are some surprises and things that we didn't foresee and that we will need to work on. That's why we have to be so organized and so prepared to be able to find a solution to the problems that we didn't even think that will come up inside the rehearsal. And what was the first question? I forgot.
The difference between a rehearsal and a performance.
Oh,
What
right.
does the conductor do differently? What is the conductor's job during a rehearsal and then during a performance?
Okay, so I can tell you from my experience also, and also from the experience of watching other conductors, that when we are doing the process of rehearsals and we're in front of orchestra, first of all, in one hand, it's much calmer because we don't have the audience behind us that sometimes we think of like people who give criticism, because the audience they have expectations. So we don't have those people with those expectations on one hand. On the other hand, for the conductor, he has 80 or 100 musicians in front of him. All of them studied from the age of 3 or 4 to play their instrument, and they know so much, and all together they know so much more than me. On the other hand, they don't know the score, or maybe some of them, but not the way me as a conductor understand the score. So we have all the time this feeling of give and take, learn, but also respect. It's very important that the conductor will respect the players, because they are the ones who play. they are the ones with their instrument in their hand, and we need them to have the cooperation in order to get the result. And the process of the rehearsals is the process of getting to the result. But for me, it's much more than that, because for me, the result is not necessarily the concert. Of course, it's important. I have obligation for my audience to give them the best concert possible, and this is one of the results I need to achieve. But for me, also one other results or in this process is to make the players to feel that they are important. Each of them, each of the violin players, even the one who is sitting in the 5th row or the 7th row, doesn't matter. They need to feel, I want them to feel that they are not just a small people inside a big thing. No, each one of them is important, and I want them to feel that we are doing something together. And I really want them to feel that I'm not more important than them, that I'm equal. That's right. I'm standing on the podium because this is the place where everybody can see me and I'm leading it. But in my grasp, I don't feel that I'm more important than any of them. If I'm missing the first oboe, we cannot make the concert. If I'm missing, maybe they can actually play without me even. So I want them to feel this, and I want them also to discover the piece we're playing, even if it's Beethoven Fifth and they played it 100 times with 50 different conductors. I want them to explore the music and to believe that what we do is what really Beethoven wanted, or what Cecile Chaminade wanted, or what Ethel Smythe wanted. This is what I want, and this is one of the results I want to achieve too.
Today, you work as a conductor, leading an orchestra. What challenges do you face as a woman when you come in front of the orchestra and then in front of the public?
Well, I feel the challenges are prior to my meeting with the orchestra. The biggest challenge is to get invited to conduct an orchestra for a woman, because as you can see in the statistics, there is a very small percentage of women conductors around the world leading orchestras, being music directors, or being guest conductors. And this in spite of the fact that there are thousands of active women conductors around the world. So it means that actually we are being biased, and we have a lot of barriers to cross, especially in this stage of being invited. So this is the first problem. And from my experience, standing in front of an orchestra, I never had any bad experience from the players of the orchestra, and also not from the public. When I was standing in front of the orchestra in the early stages of me being a conductor, I did have some open mouths that when players saw me first time, because it was their first time to see a woman conductor. But listen, I may not have a mirror at home, so I don't look at myself so much, but I'm used to live as a woman because this is who I am. I'm used to be a woman, but people are not used to see a woman on the podium. So this is the problem of the orchestras, but it's not so much their fault. What I perceive as the barrier is the managements of orchestras and music directors, male or female, even music directors who wouldn't like to invite female conductors. They're afraid that, at least what they say, is that the public will not buy tickets if they will know that the conductor of the same night is a woman.
Oh, that's bad, to say the least. What needs to be done to change that? What, in your opinion, what steps, what can each person do to change that bias? And is this something you discussed? I know you mentioned that last week you attended the International Symposium for Female Conductors. So this topic was for sure discussed. And What is the way forward?
Well, actually, this was one of my main topics in my lecture I gave there in this symposium of women conductors, where 967 women conductors from all over the world attended. And it's only part of the group of female conductors around the world. So we have 1,000 here in the symposium, but there are so many others who didn't even join the symposium. So think how many female conductors, active female conductors, exist today. And still, the public is not aware of them because they are not being seen. So this is exactly also the solution, I believe, to make them be seen, to give them platforms, to invite them to conduct concerts, not only family concerts and not only matinee concerts and not concerts in the periphery only, but also in bigger venues, in the big halls with the best orchestras. And we have to record those concerts and to broadcast them in the television and to also in the radio. And when the public who not necessarily go to buy tickets, they will see them. They will see them in the newspaper. They will see them in the television. They will hear them in the radio. When they hear after the symphony is finished, they will hear that it was a name of a woman. But until now, we are almost not seen because we are not in the media enough. And the problem is both the managements of orchestras who wouldn't let us having those experiences, those opportunities, because they keep the best opportunities to male conductors. They are afraid that if they will show a female conductor, so the audience will not like it. And unfortunately, we can also hear in public some male conductors, famous ones, who talk about it without a shame against female conductors in general. They generalize me inside a group of female conductors and they decide that we're not good enough without even knowing all of us, of course. I suspect maybe they don't know even one. And also, of course, I believe it's not moral to talk about a group of people in general and generalize them and say and not professional things about them. So this is what we have to do. And what in my talk I said that we should take the responsibility to fix it, because we cannot wait for other people to do it for us. Of course, it's not easy because it's not our profession. We are not PR. We are not working in the media necessarily, and we cannot have the power on those places. But we should do whatever we can to make it happen, to make us more visible, to become more role models, not only for young girls, and not only for other women, but also for men, to see that we exist and we can do it, and we can do it good, and we can do it excellent, and we can do it even better.
That's excellently said. I'd like to ask a question which probably you have been asked many times, and I have been asked many times, even though I'm not a conductor, and that is about the dress code.
Well,
so how do you dress for a concert?
Okay, so I have garderobe of only clothes for concerts that I built up during the years, and sometimes I change it. And it's full of many things, blouse and pants and mostly jackets. And I usually dress black or only black or black and white. And I also have dresses. But I feel that every day, every concert I have, on the same day, I choose what I feel suits me on the same day. And I have the opportunity to choose because we women don't have a dress code. So we're free to choose whatever we want. And this is maybe the only advantage we have as female conductors.
Well, there's one, and it's a big one, actually. Because it's do you think that women should dress more like to look like a male conductor, or that they should really point out that they are female, or is the whole subject actually irrelevant?
Well, this is a very interesting question. Now, what you ask, and what I think is that the conductor himself should decide for himself whether it's a woman or a man, because there is a tendency now also among men to change a little bit the tuxedo to other things. And I feel that, well, I know there is a dress code for players and they cannot change it. But also female players, they are also free. They are more free than men, and they can choose to have a dress or something else. But of course, the place of a conductor, which is more visible to the audience, is a little bit more of an issue. So I believe for female conductors that I would advise them to choose really what they feel they fits them the best, what they feel comfortable. It's very important in this profession that we are standing for 2 hours, and it's very important to feel comfortable, especially in the aspect of the shoes, because we can choose beautiful shoes with heels, but then we can lose stability. I had one experience, and since then I don't wear heels, even though it was short heels, but still, even this can be very dangerous. And so I think um, comfortable and safety is first priority, and of course it has to look good and representative, but also you have to feel that this is what is you on the same day. One day I feel I want to have a jacket more like a man, but who said that a jacket is a man thing? I think for me it suits me best, the jacket. And there is this female composer, pianist, and conductor, Ethel Leginska, and wherever you read about her, you will see that they point out the issue of how she dressed up, because she dressed like they say like a man, and she had a short haircut, and in her time it was very unusual, as if she tried to look like a man. Maybe, but maybe she felt this is how she should look like, and who cares? Who? It's only my problem. I mean, no, it's not the business of any other person rather than me.
Well, that's a great advice, I think, for all, actually, whether they're male or female conductors. I think you mentioned in our one of, on our talks leading to today is be yourself, be true to yourself, and I remember,
Exactly. Be natural and true to yourself.
and I think that applies actually to the dress code, but also to the leadership style, and it also
Exactly.
helps, I think, understand the perception of both what the orchestra and the public have of a female conductor. Is that unlike other industries, leadership in music is very has a long history. If we go back 300-400 years, and the perception of a male conductor is so strong that the reactions, unfortunately, till today are, oh my gosh, it's a lady conductor. As I have to admit, leading up to this interview, I was earlier this week asked, "Oh, Bibi, who's your next guest?" And I said, "Oh, it's a lady conductor." And the person's reaction was, "Oh, wow, that's fantastic." And then I thought to myself, okay, this is something's wrong here from both sides. First of all, I pointed out that it's a lady conductor instead of just saying, I have a great person, conductor, as my next guest. And then the reaction was also, oh, wow, so it's something exceptional while it should be normal.
That's right. But don't blame yourself,
Yeah.
because I still have to tell people, don't look at me as a female conductor. Look at me as a conductor. But then there is a difference, because I'm still not accepted to this profession. Why? Because I'm a female. So it's really a dual thing. It's we still in a transition to a world that will be better, that will be more equal. But right now, we don't live in an equal world. So on the way to become equal, we have to show this is a female conductor, and you should look at her and to see, because she would be the example for the next generation of female conductors. But if you try to ignore the fact that she's female, you will not help to bring the issue up and to show that we need to make a change. And in order to make a change, we have to make female conductors and female composers more visible to the world through the media, through concert halls, through recordings, through everything, because we deserve to be there. We exist, but we want to have the opportunity to get to work in our profession like male conductors get much easily.
One last question, Talia, and that's in line with ConductVision's interdisciplinary values. And you mentioned it to me the other day that you were asked by an IT company to work for them, or that they would love having you.
Yes.
Why?
Well, I tried to think about it, but then I realized that in the same concert that this CEO of a high-tech company told me that, he was one of the players. He actually just came back from Australia, living there for a long time, and came back to Israel to another company, a high-tech company, and he also played the clarinet, and he was invited. And then when he told me that, I said, why? What do you see I do which has anything to do with your company? And then I realized that in this concert, I was not only the conductor, but I wrote the script because it was a family concert, and I was also directing everybody, sometimes also the players. And I also was like the small producer of this concert, because the management asked me to take care of all the artistic aspects, which also included some non-artistic aspects. And I was also the host. I was talking to the audience. And I did so many things besides being also the conductor of this concert. So, and he saw how I managed through the rehearsals. It was even before the concert that he told me that. And I had to take care of everything, and everything was on time and exactly. So he thought that what I did was actually good also for his profession. I guess this was the reason, but yes, it was, obviously.
Well, yeah, this is a story I was thinking since you told me, because it goes in line with what we think at ConductVision is the musician's process, mind process, how other industries, for example, like the IT industry and business industry, can benefit from just the way musicians think and process um, things around them. So I think it's another great example of that. Anyhow, Talia, it was wonderful and a great pleasure talking to you.
The same.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts and the challenges that you have, and keep moving forward.
Thank you, Bibi, for inviting me. It's my great pleasure to be in this talk with you.
Okay, stay well.
Thank you.